Sure, my name is Todd Hirsch, and I'm the senior economist with ATB Financial.
So, Todd, how would you characterize the 2010 economy so far?
Well, 2010 has been up and down a little bit, particularly here in Western Canada. We saw kind of a growth spurt in the first half of 2010. Real estate was still doing pretty well, housing starts and prices. But over the summer and now into the fall of 2010, we have seen some pullback in activity, particularly on housing starts and on employment.
Now, what are we looking at for 2011? What's the outlook for next year?
Well, 2011 I think will be an improvement over 2010, but it is still going to feel a little bit sluggish. Alberta is going to lag behind Saskatchewan and Manitoba. In Saskatchewan and Manitoba, we've already seen employment increasing well above where it was before the recession started. Alberta is still below. So it's going to be a little bit of a mixed picture. Commodity prices, especially those oil and natural gas prices, will drive a lot of the activity going on in Alberta and Saskatchewan, and Manitoba more on the agriculture side.
And so, what does this all mean for our farmers? That's why you're here today. I mean, what's the outlook for agriculture?
The outlook for agriculture, like with everything, it's going to be a little bit mixed. Probably more optimism on the grains and oilseed side. If we can get the weather to cooperate, and I know that's always a wild card, but I do think there's going to be more upward pressure on grain and oilseed prices. Demand from places like China and India should support those. We're exporting increasing amounts of grains and oilseeds. On the livestock front, however, it is not going to be quite as bright a picture. Livestock prices, they've recovered a little bit in the last little while, but I think livestock prices are still going to be pretty soft in 2011. We export most of our livestock to the U.S. economy. That's where there's real problems in the global situation right now. U.S. economy is still very soft. Probably some more protectionist trade measures, and also the high Canadian dollar really going to weigh on livestock.
So it sounds like, in most things, what's happening in the U.S. will affect exports in Canada, and that's why you're saying livestock not looking so good next year.
Yeah, because so much of our livestock exports goes to one market, and that's the U.S. Livestock, I think, is going to have a harder time. Grains and oilseed, we export a lot of this as well, but this is much more diversified. We export to the U.S., but we export an awful lot to places like Asia and the Middle East, and those economies are doing better. So it will put a little bit more upward price pressure for grains and oilseeds.
Now, you're using a really interesting weather analogy for our economic forecast next year. Sunny with a chance of showers. And what does that all mean?
Well, I think sunny with a chance of showers, a lot like the weather we had all summer here in Western Canada. It's not going to be all bad. We are going to have some sun. There's going to be some very pleasant spots in the economy, particularly things related to crude oil, for example. But there is going to be a chance of showers. In other words, there's going to be spots and industries within the West, maybe focused on livestock or natural gas, which are going to be a little bit cloudier, a little bit gloomier, where we're going to see less optimism.
So are you generally positive about next year?
I am generally positive. I think coming out of the recession we saw in 2009, 2010 was a rebound year. 2011 will be a continuation of that rebound. The Canadian and Western Canadian economies are continue to grow, but I think it will still feel just a little bit sluggish, more so in Alberta, Saskatchewan and Manitoba in better shape, the recovery taking a little bit firmer footing there.
And anything else us in Saskatchewan need to know about the forecast for next year?
No, I think that was most of it. Again, with oil prices recovering, other commodity prices recovering, Saskatchewan should do pretty well in 2011.